our pod show for preventative mental health. I'm Dr. Caroline Heim, and Dr. Christian Heim is on piano. We're going to discuss scientific entertainment and information and entertainment to keep you encouraged to keep your mind a healthy place. We'll scrutinize an assumption that is prevalent in today's society. A lie. And tonight's lie is, life is really random. You're listening to Baroque music, 300 years old. Johann Sebastian Bach.
Actually, before I play the whole of this piece, I want us to do our breathing thing with this.
Our breathing thing.
Our breathing thing,
Okay.
because you see, this piece of music is very ordered. It's ordered in such a way that every bar, little piece of music, moves from tension to relaxation. Tension to relaxation through the whole piece.
Yeah.
And we can marry this up with breathing in with tension and breathing out for relaxation.
Okay.
Because if we breathe in that tension, we can breathe out. And it's very good for our mental health. And
Definitely.
this piece works really well. If you breathe in for tension and breathe out for relaxation, please join us. Breathe in for tension and breathe out.
Oh, I feel so much calmer already.
Me too.
But what was all that about then?
That is a beautifully structured piece of music. It was Bach's first prelude, written in 1720, published 1722, and we're using it as an example of order, predictability, symmetry, rhythm and routine, because in it Bach takes one idea and he repeats it and repeats it and repeats it and repeats it and repeats it, and yet he has enough variety in the harmony, in other words the tension and the relaxation, to make a beautifully satisfying piece of music. So we're going to use that as an analogy for good mental health. There will be tension in our lives, but if we control what we can control and let go of that tension and look for the order in life rather than the randomness, then that's good for preventative mental health.
Very good for preventative mental health. Great.
Very good.
Well, welcome everyone to our very first pod show. Well, no, it's not the first one, it's our second one, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's our very first second one.
It's our first second one, there you go. Welcome to Old Friends and You. So glad that you could join us again, but we don't know if you're there. So please actually write in the chat right now to let us know you're there so we're not speaking into the sounds of silence. We like company, we like people to be with us. And also let us know where you're tuning in from around the world. What state, if you're from Australia, what state, if you're from the United States, what state, if you're from Canada. The people from the UK are not awake at the moment. I think it's about 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, some people might be, so welcome UK too. Please say hello in the chat. There's Jeffrey. Hi, welcome. Please keep writing your questions too. If any questions come up for you during the pod show, we'd love to hear from you. Great.
Yeah, what we're trying to do here is build a community of people interested in preventative mental health.
That's exactly right. A community so that we're not alone, and also so that this is a kind of a refuge from the craziness that's going on in the world, yeah?
What craziness? A bit of randomness?
A bit of randomness in the world, that's right, yeah. Okay, so tonight you're going to hear some more music, of course, a lot more music, and we're going to discuss our lie, okay? And lie, of course, is life is really random. So I'm going to just jump straight into it right now, and I'm going to put Christian in the spotlight because he doesn't know any of these questions.
Okay. Last week, all right, I got to admit, we rehearsed a lot. We sort of went through stuff because we wanted to get our first one working.
It's true.
But this one, we haven't rehearsed at all.
No,
I don't know what Caroline's going to ask me. I don't know where she's going to go.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty random, but we'll find some order in it.
We most definitely will. Okay, so first question on life is really random is, a lot of my students actually talk to me about this. They say, well, you know, life is really random. These random things are going to happen to me all the time. So life really is random, isn't it? It's what's the lie in this? This is what I really want to know. What is the lie, Christian?
Okay. The lie is that life is only random. And the lie is, if you like, that people have this attitude and they live life as though it is random. And yes, I know the scientific studies. I know that there are studies that tell us that we think we have more control than we do have. And they're trying to tell us that life is really random. And yes, I know about the electron cloud around the nucleus. I know about random mutations. I know about probability and all of that. And we'll talk about some of those. But life is also really ordered. The sun rose at about, 5 past 5 this morning. And
in Australia.
In Australia, well, particularly where we are.
Yeah.
And it does that kind of every morning. And science was able to predict that years ago. A couple of weeks ago, Mars was only 60 million miles away from us. Start walking now. And that's the closest that it'll be for about 15 years. So it looked really big. And you know what? That was predictable. We knew that it was going to be that way. So if we look at the sun, if we look at the way that a day goes, if we look at the tides, if we look at the lunar orbits, if we look at our years, there is so much in life that is really ordered, structured, predictable. If it wasn't that way, we couldn't have science. So the thing is that for social media these days, you've got to have these little messages, you know, life is really random.
Yeah.
And the reality, of course, is much more complex. But because I'm interested in mental health, I'm interested in encouraging people to look for the order, to look for the rhythm and the routine, rather than have this expectation that life is really random. Because when you have that expectation, you actually expect it to be random and you start behaving as though it's random, so your life becomes more chaotic. So people actually relinquish whatever control they actually have.
Okay, well, where did this idea of randomness come from then? I mean, you're telling us nature is really predictable.
Yes, as well as random as well.
And has random moments too, but there is predictability in the world. Okay?
There is predictability.
But where is this social consciousness that we have at the moment that life is random, that I'm hearing from my students and such?
All right, so the reason that I wanted to talk about this is because of a few clinical examples that come out. Now, I want to let you know that when I talk about some patients that I work with, I never actually tell somebody's story. What happens is I see what some people are going through, and if a lot of people go through the same sort of thing, then I will keep the emotional content of what's going on the same, but I will kind of make up a story so that nobody in particular hears.
Yeah, that's
so
really important.
None of the stories that I talk about are actually people that I treat, and that's actually really important to me.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to use the example of, I will call him Sam.
Yeah.
Sam is a 45-year-old businessman who went to a conference, and he says to me, yeah, it was really random. I said, what was? Well, you know, there was this woman that I've been working with for a long time, and we could feel the sexual tension, and after the day at the conference, I just walked back to her place, and randomly one thing led to another, and now I'm having an affair, my wife is blowing up about this, my kids don't know, and life has become really random.
Okay.
And I said, Sam, how did this happen? He said, I don't know. It was just random.
It just happened.
It just happened.
Right.
It's sort of bigger than the both of us, so couldn't do anything about it. Okay, and then somebody else, and I will make her a 23-year-old female, who says to me, random things happen to me. Really weird random things happen to me. And I said, what are you talking about? And she said, well, on Saturday night, I kind of went out like I normally do, and then I just did some really weird things with some really weird people. And I said, did you want this to happen to you? And she goes, I don't know. It was really random. And I said, how did that happen? And she said, well, random things happen to me when I drink a lot.
Okay.
And I said, okay, aren't you in control of that? And she looked at me as though I was from another planet. She says, no, I just drink because everybody else drinks. That's what everybody does. So this is just random stuff that happens to me.
Yeah.
So those examples are examples of people who are actually giving up control where they have control, because what I see is this attitude that people believe life is random. So they're open to random experiences, and they make their lives more chaotic, more random. Now, if you want to have those sort of experiences, that's very different to saying that they just happen because they're random.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's look at this from a psychiatric perspective. So we're talking.
It's good. You've given a psychiatrist.
It's true. It works. Okay. So there are people that obviously are having these random experiences and using them as a justification, not necessarily an excuse, but that's just what we're told. Life is random, so that's what's actually happening to me. Okay. But psychiatrically, what's happening in the brain? Like, does the brain crave randomness? Does the brain crave stability? What's actually happening in the brain?
In the orbitofrontal cortex, which is a part of the frontal lobe of our brains, we have a decision-making center.
Yeah.
Now, this decision-making center gets inputs from a lot of the brain. It gets inputs from the prefrontal cortex, which basically is all our reasons. These are the reasons why you want to do this or that. We also have input from our limbic system, which, broadly speaking, is our emotions. I feel like this. This makes me feel good. This. Now, particularly when you drink alcohol, you decrease the input from your frontal lobe and allow more input from your limbic system. And this is not necessarily a bad thing. This is why alcohol,
speaking of which,
sort of goes with our late night lie situation, because it relaxes us. It actually makes us smile more, makes us laugh more, because we loosen up.
Yeah, that's right.
But it also means that some of the decisions that we make may not always be in our best interests.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So the brain.
The brain?
I want to hear more about the brain.
You want to hear more about the brain on that?
Yeah.
All right. So what we actually believe, so in other words, is life random or not, is actually a very complex issue, and belief is one of those watch this space area as to how it works in the brain. We tend to think that we think about things and we decide whether we believe them or not.
Yep.
Now, science is telling us that that's not actually what happens. We go with beliefs that feel comfortable for the brain.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so if something is familiar to us, we will go with that as a belief. Now, this is a whole complex area, and there are different beliefs. Beliefs about whether the sun will get up is different to beliefs about whether God exists or not, which is different to beliefs that I have to drink a whole lot of alcohol, which is different to beliefs that I'm a worthwhile person. They're all very different beliefs, and they happen in very different ways in the brain. But we've got this one word belief that that we use, and it gets us confused. But the brain loves familiarity and it loves to feel comfortable. Getting back to the alcohol makes us feel comfortable. We like it. Taking responsibility for some of our decisions, particularly the hard decisions, like what we do sexually or if we stay faithful to somebody or not, that can feel uncomfortable. So, in a sense, the brain is already wired to not feel comfortable about that and say, well, if there's another way out of this, can I find it? Because taking responsibility and going with the order is, I have been together with this woman for 15 years. We have 2 children. Because I'm out at a conference does not mean that I have to sexually engage with somebody else.
Okay.
That takes effort.
Yeah.
All right? It's not that easy. You've actually got to make that decision and put in a plan.
That's right.
Right. Why are you laughing so much?
I've just heard it happen, that's all.
Oh, for a minute there I thought there was something you haven't told me.
There isn't.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say it in front of everyone anyway, but there really isn't, okay? Truth here, there isn't.
All right, but that takes effort.
Yeah, it does.
It takes effort because when there are opportunities and your body tells you this may feel good and your limbic system is telling you this is going to feel good and your brain tells you I'm having a few problems at home, then you can start making decisions that may be good for your short-term interest, not in your long-term interest. And if you have this belief that life is random, then it's a bit more comfortable for the brain. Because we didn't always have this belief that life is so random.
Okay, so can we use it like as a justification? Isn't it just easy just to do that? Well, this happened to me, so therefore, I had no control over it,
Well, that's basically what I've been saying. Okay. That it can be used as a justification, but it's actually gone beyond that. People actually believe that life is random. And that if 2 people have been married 10 years, that they're just lucky. They just lucked out. And you know what? If you work hard on your relationship, all right, that's not luck. And to get through 10 years in a relationship takes a lot of work. It's like somebody that I treated once who was a swimmer. And he was in the state finals once. And somebody came up to him and said, gee, you're lucky. He said, what? He said, well, look at the great body that you have. Look at how fast you can swim. You're really lucky. And he says, well, you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, swim for 2 hours, and then another 2 hours in the afternoon, and you'll start getting lucky too.
For 10 years.
For 10 years.
That's right, yeah.
That makes it sound
Yeah,
like.
that's the effort. Okay, all right. So this is sort of this randomness. It adds excitement to our life. It adds a little bit of titillation. Anything can happen at any time. We like the randomness, so the spontaneity of it. Life's exciting that way.
Yes, it is.
We don't want to take that away.
We don't want to take that away at all.
Okay, so can you speak into that a little bit?
So going back to the original lie that life is really random, let's say that closer to reality is that life is really random, life is really ordered, and I like both, and I can do what I can to choose experiences to make the most out of life. There are always going to be random experiences. Okay, so last week they forecasted big storms for Sydney. But then there was a news flash, okay? I'm sorry people, but there was a butterfly that went for a fly in Johannesburg. It flapped its wings and now no storm. Okay. So random things happen. But is it random? Or is it that the process from going from a butterfly flapping its wings to having a storm or not is just really, really complex, and we really can't work that out.
Well, there's so much we don't know already.
There's so much we don't know, but we get enamored by what we do know.
Okay, so we can still have a little bit of that excitement happening.
Oh, we want a lot of that excitement.
We want a lot of the excitement. We don't want to take away the excitement.
No, we don't want to take away excitement. We want to keep excitement and pleasure. Because, look, the studies show that even for a good relationship, you have to have a balance of familiarity, comfort, and predictability. This morning I had this really random experience. This woman just put her head on my chest and then eventually said, good morning. And that random experience has happened most every morning for about 30 years ago.
Yeah.
For about 30 years. Okay, so that's not random. However, you want a bit of spice, you want a bit of variety, you want a bit of surprise, and keeping a relationship in particular alive is adding some of that variety as well. And you need that for yourself, you need that for your work, you need that for your goals in life. But if you let the short-term pleasures get in the way of your long-term contentment, then you're actually making your life more chaotic. The thing that you want is a long-term contentment and the short-term pleasures.
Okay, so tomorrow morning I'm going to go and whack you over the head instead of putting my head on your shoulder.
Oh, great. So all of a sudden
we want a bit more variety, you know.
Well, okay, so could you whack my arms as well?
Okay, let's move on.
Okay,
but what?
Yes, that might be totally random.
Yes,
right?
but we want randomness in that way.
But
yes,
it's still you doing that.
Ah, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
So it's randomness within confines.
Yeah. Within a secure sort of
secure
environment,
framework.
a safe framework.
Okay,
yeah.
so let's go to a really specific example. We are in a COVID situation. There
That's
are
what I was
people
gonna
in
go
lockdown.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
People saying, "Oh my gosh, we've got a COVID crisis. How random! Our economy is going down. How random! There are problems in the South China Sea. How random! There are problems in Eastern Europe. How random! This whole life is really random. I have no control."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's take it on an individual basis.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Mm-hmm.
When you get up in the morning, you can look at all of that and be totally overwhelmed.
Yeah, as a lot of us are.
Yes, we are. But if we keep looking at that, we can get overwhelmed. So the question is, what can I do about it? Mm-hmm. And in a very small way, there is something that all of us can do about it. You do what you can to make sure that you're not the next person with COVID.
Yeah.
You do what you can to make sure you're getting on with people in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
And if you have to isolate, then in the morning you can decide, what do I want to do with today? Or you can let things randomly happen to you, and you may find yourself randomly on some website for 3 hours that's really only worth about 5 or 10 minutes. So if you keep control where you can, because we don't have much control in this life, keep it where you can.
Yeah, so I was going to talk about, that was my next question. 2020, there's been so many random events. You know, we've had COVID, then we had Black Lives Matters, then we had identity politics, murmurs of wars, another wave of COVID, and I'm really interested in whether the brain will adapt to this. Like, this is, I mean, COVID was random in many ways, okay?
In many ways.
Yeah, okay.
Or it was a complex event that we haven't been able to explain yet.
Okay, all right. So how are we going to adapt to this, well, for now, new normal? I mean, will our brain adapt to that?
Yeah. Our brain is amazing at adapting.
Yeah.
It is an adapting machine. In fact, the whole point of the brain is for us to be able to adapt itself to the environment, to sort of go, okay, what do I need to do to survive? And the brain will do that, even in COVID.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we are busy looking for a vaccine, and we are making progress in months, which used to take years or decades, because collectively, we have amazing brains in this world. And it's okay to trust our amazing brains. We will eventually find it, and that's the brain adapting on a collective level. On an individual level, it's actually much harder, because what we have seen as familiar and predictable in our life has been taken away.
Yeah.
And the thing is that is bad for our mental health.
Yeah.
The randomness is bad for our mental health. So to help the brain adapt, first of all, you cling to what is predictable and what is comfortable. Family, friends, and a routine, finding rhythm and routine in your life, and looking to life as something that is very predictable. There are quite a few predictable things. We all get born, we all develop, we all have an adulthood, and we all decline. And that has happened to almost everybody who has walked this planet. So in that pattern, how much can you control rather than how much can't you control.
Yeah.
And you can put in goals based on your values to move forward in life. Because in a way, that's what Bach does on the piano. He finds a way to move forward because there's a bit of conflict there which drives us to move forward to there. There's a bit of conflict there which drives us to go here.
Yeah.
So you will want the familiarity to feel comfortable and relaxed, but you want a little bit of tension to drive you forward into a better future.
Okay.
And our hope is actually in getting a better future for ourselves.
Yeah, we will get onto that, but I've got one more random question for you.
Random? All right.
Yes, random. Okay.
No, I think you planned it. I think you decided. You've even got it written down.
Okay then, random question. How do you know how many grains of sand there are in the world?
Okay. Firstly,
Yeah?
that's a random question.
I had to do it.
All right.
Yes.
So
What's your answer, Dr. Heim?
the easy answer is, I don't know.
Oh, well, there you go. See, that's a good thing for doctors to be able to say.
It's actually a good thing for all of us to
Yeah,
say.
it's true.
We're all enamored by how much we do know, and we do know a lot.
Yeah.
But this piece of music was written at a time when we didn't know about electricity, quantum physics, and the whole idea of gravity and the laws of motion that Newton discovered was just starting around that time.
Yeah.
And all right, Newton's laws, something won't move unless you push it, that the force you put on something, how big it is and how fast it goes, they're all kind of connected.
Yeah.
And for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people are like that, okay? They'll give you an equal and opposite reaction to anything you say.
That's true.
All of that spawned the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden we went, hey, we know things and we can use all of these principles to build machines. And then by the end of the 19th century, we got to the stage where we almost thought that we knew everything. There were certain things about electricity and light that we didn't know. And then we started discovering some really, I'll say it, random things, but they weren't actually random, okay? So the first thing is Einstein told us about light. He did a lot of research on light, and he went, okay, so sometimes light can be a waveform, and sometimes light can be a particle. Well, that's really random. How do I know? Well, Niels Bohr said this idea of an electron just going around a nucleus.
Yeah.
No. The electron goes around the nucleus in some sort of a cloud of probability where it probably is most of the time, and that's where we have to look for it. Oh my gosh, random. More randomness. If we just look at an electron, it will change its behavior. Oh my gosh, we can't be certain of anything. And that takes us to Werner Heisenberg, who said, well, yep, when it comes down to a particle, you might be able to be certain of where it is or where it is going, but not both. So we are just going to have to live in a world of uncertainty. And we have taken that on board to think that all of life is uncertain. Whereas, you know what? Newton's laws still hold fast for our day-to-day life. Gravity is still there in our day-to-day life. Our day-to-day life works the same as it did 300 years ago. And 300 years ago, electrons were whizzing around somewhere around a nucleus. So in other words, it was really random.
Yeah.
But people didn't know about it.
Yeah.
So it didn't invade their consciousness as much as it does now. So our consciousness, our idea that life is really random, is influenced by the science.
Okay, great. So the lie is that life is really random. Actually, and when you were talking about, and it impacts not just, well, it impacts our relationships, but we're seeing it more and more in the world, okay? So,
Yeah.
now what I wanted to talk to you about when you were talking about Heisenberg.
Heisenberg.
Yeah, because I actually worked on a play. Well, I actually had the privilege of interviewing audience members and some actors in the play Heisenberg on Broadway a couple of years ago. And the play, of course, is about the uncertainty principle. And it's about two random strangers that meet. You know, you've seen the play with me. and they have these chance encounter, and some things go right, some things go wrong. Actually, there's a lot of lies in this play. We don't know if we trust this main character to be telling the truth or not.
Yeah.
Interesting that we care about trusting the character, because it was meant to be a very random play anyway. But when I interviewed the audience members, they felt very uncomfortable with this relationship. They didn't know if they could trust. They found the uncertainty really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And yet I really feel that, society is saying, randomness is good, and we should go with these chance everythings, so I think that they managed to find a little bit of stability in the end, and I found the audience members even wanting to hold on to that stability.
Stability. Okay, I'm just going to pick up on something that you said, that society is kind of telling us that randomness is good.
Yeah.
And part of the problem is we tend to think in binaries.
I know.
Yes or no, left or right, as though there are no other possibilities.
Yeah.
And the thing about this is, the question is not, is life random or not, or is life random or is it ordered? Life is random, life is ordered, and there is a balance to be struck with both. Or, given that life is predictability and randomness, how am I going to negotiate that?
That's what am I going to do? That's right. Okay.
And so it's what you focus on.
Yeah, okay, good.
Do I have time to do one more little thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Good. Because I have here a little plastic ball.
Okay, all right.
And I used to give lectures at schools, okay, and I would drop the ball and I say, is it going to fall? And the kids said, yep, it would fall. Okay, and the ball would fall. And I would say, is there any time when the ball will not fall? And they go, no, it's going to fall every time. That is totally predictable. Now, when I use the same example on university students, they go, no, there comes a time when that ball will not fall to the ground. Okay? So we eventually discover that, okay, if I was doing this underwater, that if I let the ball go, it would float to the top. Or if I was doing this on the Mir space station, I would let the ball go and it would just hover in front of me.
Yeah.
But more than that, because people now know the science, they say, no, you keep doing that, and there will come a time when our universe will start to implode, time will go backwards, and we don't know what the ball will do. It will do all sorts of random things. It may go over and do all the things that it used to do, but it could do anything. And I said, yes, but do you want to bet on it?
That's the crunch, isn't it?
Do you want to bet on it? Because I bet you, oh my gosh, look, it did it again. It always falls to the floor. And I won't be around in billions of years' time. But the ball, as long as I just drop it, will always fall. Always. While I'm here. Always. I can depend on it falling. It's not a random universe. There's so much order. And as I said, if there wasn't order to the universe, we wouldn't be able to even look for the randomness.
Yeah.
So perhaps randomness, the probability of where an electron is in an atom, what we call spontaneous genetic mutations, random genetic mutations, the possibility is that we just don't know enough to understand the order behind all of that.
Okay.
Okay, so go for the order.
I think that we need some hope, though, because what we talk about in this pod show is general things that are happening in society, but we really do need some hope too. So what is the hope, Christian?
The hope is music.
On an individual basis, yeah.
On an individual basis, the hope is music. I'm going to use music as an analogy.
Okay.
Because music, anybody who writes music knows you have to have this balance between order and variety. In fact, all the songs that we know, they have order in that you'll hear a verse, you'll hear a chorus, you'll hear a verse, you'll hear a chorus, and then you'll go, you know what, I need some variety. So you get this middle section that's kind of different, and then we'll go back to verse, chorus, 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 chorus. And we need both. And what I want to show here is one chord progression that has been used extensively by Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, Chopin, Liszt, everybody who wrote music, but in songs it became a phenomenon. So
contemporary songs.
Contemporary songs.
Okay, great. We can hear some contemporary songs.
So when Bach went, I've got a rattle there somewhere.
It's Probably the candle.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to move the candle.
Okay. That chord progression is a well-known chord progression in music. 1, 6, 2 or 4, 5, 1 for anybody who actually wants the chord progression. But in the 1930s, with this song, Blue Moon.
Yes.
With that song, many songs just used that chord progression. I'm going to have to skip the 40s because the 40s was not good for hit songs because we had a war.
Okay.
But the 50s, we got back to enjoying life, and we had a lot of songs that used that. I'll use one in the same key.
To do is dream, 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 dream.
And that song kind of keeps going all the time.
With the same chord progression. Same predictable chord progression.
Same predictable, but we love it.
Yeah.
Because it makes us feel comfortable.
Centers us.
But it still moves us forward so that our variety is done. Okay, let's go to the 60s. We got a bit bigger, almost epic. Unchained Melody.
Yeah, and was also used in the movie Ghost with Demi Moore. People will remember it best from that.
Yes, the Righteous Brothers.
Yes.
And I know people who start to cry when they hear that song. It's just a beautiful, beautiful song.
Yeah.
So this chord progression, I'm literally saying this chord progression, touches something deep within us.
Okay.
But we can get bigger.
Bigger, bigger.
Let's go to the 70s.
More epic. Oh.
Bohemian Rhapsody is a very complex song, wonderful song. It's not based on those 4 chords only. It does a whole lot more, but that section is just those 4 chords.
Queen movie.
The 4 chords again. So now we go to the 80s. A very complex, beautiful song, written by Leonard Cohen, made famous Jeff Beck. beautiful song.
Beautiful.
Leonard Cohen wrote something like 17 or 20 verses to that.
Wow.
And he thought he'd better cut it down to just 3 or 4.
I think so.
Beautiful, beautiful song. Hallelujah. Leonard Cohen.
What's the next decade?
90s.
90s.
And unfortunately, I've got to go to somebody who isn't with us anymore. Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
Beautiful song.
It is.
Same chord progression, and it goes throughout the whole song.
Yeah.
This decade,
yes.
Do they still write beautiful songs?
Do they?
Yes, they do.
Ah,
I'm only going to find 2 that are just based on these 2 chords. Bruno Mars.
Just the way you are.
Just the way you are. Girl, you're amazing, just the way you are. Mm-hmm. And the last one.
Yes.
We're looking for this chord progression.
Yeah. Come on, come on, come on, come on.
Perfect. Perfect.
Lovely.
And almost all of these songs are love songs because we feel familiar with love. We have a bit of variety, but we need to feel that predictability and that comfort that we all crave. And that's good for your mental health. All right, so let's do what you can for your mental health. To get a balance between unity and variety, which every song has, look for a balance between randomness and predictability in your life. Don't let go of what you do have control of. Keep control of what you do have control of, what you do during the day, every decision you make. Secondly, look for rhythm and routine.
Oh, so important, yeah.
So we go to sleep at about the same time, even though that's really late for some people. Get up at about the same time. We eat around the same time. These are all routines. We have a weekly routine, a yearly routine, and in a COVID time, particularly keep your daily routines and your weekly routines. And then the third thing is keep on track. Keep on track with your relationship, keep on track with your family, keep on track with your friends, keep on track with your dreams and your aspirations, and always ask, what can I do to keep moving forward? Life is random and it will knock you down, sometimes really severely, but don't give it more power than it needs to have. Keep as much control as you can. Of course, I'm not talking to control freaks when I'm saying that, okay?
No, not at all.
Okay, there'll be another one.
Control. Oh, yes, we do need to talk about control. Can I just say one thing? And that is that your hair looks really random today.
Does it really? Well, you didn't like it last time, so I thought this is what you wanted.
It was all puffy. Yeah,
Puffy.
no. I like the variety.
Puffy.
No, puffy.
Puffy.
Oh, puffy. No, puffy. Definitely
Puffy?
puffy.
No, that's a puppy. It's all right.
He's got another line.
No,
yeah.
no, it's just my Bach coming out.
Oh, no. It's cringe.
I'll throw it back to you.
I can always count on you for those jokes. Okay, all right, so let me get myself together for this. If you have any questions about what's come up or any comments, do you think that life's really random? What's random that's given you
Grief.
Grief in your life? What's been stable that's kept you, moving forward?
Yeah.
Or what is it about the randomness that you like? What is it about the stability that you like? We'd really love to hear your answers to these. And also, if you have any more questions about anything that we talked about today, please write them in the chat right now. Right now, there's some things coming in, I think, and we will answer those next week. So really love to actually get more of a community going here, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we do. Thanks so much for being here. Because we do. We want to have a community of individuals for preventative mental health, because there's so much that we can do and it's worthwhile. Everything you do matters. Everything you say to other people, every relationship you have, it all matters.
It does. It all matters.
Yes, it does.
So please tell your friends, tell your aunts, tell your brothers, tell your sisters, tell the neighbour downstairs, tell the guy down at the deli, tell the person at the supermarket about our pod show, because we really would love lots of people to come and build up a strong environment here and a community. So also, if you would like to get notifications, do go onto YouTube, Dr. Christian Heim, and subscribe, ring the bell so that you get the notifications. We'll be here next week, but we will be here always at 10 p.m. East Coast USA and 7 p.m. West Coast. We know that daylight saving changes next week, but we'll still be on track for that 10 p.m. on the West Coast and 7 p.m. on the East Coast, and goodness knows what time. Have I said it completely round the wrong way?
I think so. I
Random.
think it was random.
I did it randomly.
Anyway.
I did it randomly on purpose, you see. I'm watching if you're actually watching and listening. Okay, so it is actually, you tell me then. What is it? What did I say wrong?
Look, I may even be wrong. I don't know, maybe you said it right, but it's 10 p.m. East Coast, 7 p.m. West Coast.
That's it. Yes, 7 p.m. West Coast. Okay, so we'll see you then. And Australia, it is 12 p.m. AEST, so...
Oh, but it's going to change.
It does, it's going to change.
It's going to change.
But Brisbane's always going to be the same. Yeah.
Are you ready to sing for us?
I think, sing for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I've actually asked Caroline to sing the song that we use at the beginning of each of our podcasts, pod shows. It is called These Foolish Things. And this song, coincidentally, also uses this musical progression. 1, 6, 4, 5, 1. But it also speaks about things that are very familiar, small things that are predictable, and things that have come to become part of somebody's private relationship to make their brain feel loved and comfortable. And even romantic.
A tinkling piano in my New York apartment. Your stumbling words that told me what your heart meant. A song Sinatra sings. These foolish things remind me of you. A white shirt collar with your aftershave traces. An airline ticket to romantic places. And so my heart has wings. These foolish things remind me of you. How strange, how sweet, oh don't you see? These things are dear to me, they bring you closer to me. Your smiling lips, your arms so strong and able. Romantic candlelight at corner table. And still my heart has wings. me of you. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you next week.